watching, waiting. Don't look. He'll see you. Don't move. He'll hear you. Don't breathe. You're dead.
I'm Jamie.
And I'm Nikisha, and this is Talking Horror with Jamie.
And Nikisha.
Where we share our love for all things scary and talk horror through the lens of human behavior. Welcome, everyone. Sirens, fireworks, all the things. It's a fantastic day because we are talking about the 2017 Argentine horror film, Terrified. Now, this film was written and directed by one Damien Rugna, who we will talk about, have done some other things that you might have seen. And it stars one Maxine Guione. I'm probably going to butcher some of these names. Please forgive me. Norberto Gonzalo, Elvira Oneta, and George L. Lewis. Now, before we get heavy into everything, we have some special guests, y'all. Woo! And woo! Producer Brian is going to introduce them now.
Yes, absolutely. We are so happy to have Chandler and Sean from the Welcome to Creepy Camp podcast. You may have listened to that. You may have seen them on TikTok. Some really great reviews and fun stuff there. Chandler, Sean, thank you so much for joining us on Talking Horror. We have tried to set this up for a long time, and here we are, and I'm very excited. Welcome.
Appreciate you having us.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah. Excited to hear everything that you guys have to say about this movie, and super excited to connect in this way.
Absolutely.
So, Jamie, let's get into a little bit of some trigger warnings. Obviously, heavy spoilers for Terrified. If you have not seen it, it is streaming on the shutters right now. But Jamie, run us through those trigger warnings, please, because it's a lot.
It certainly is a lot. So, God, where do I even start?
Welcome to Rugna's films.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a lot of dead stuff. A lot. I mean, I would say like the theme is overall supernatural, but then within that, there's a lot of dead bodies that we encounter. Yes. And they do not shy away from how bodies become dead. So I'm describing this in a terrible way.
No, this is great.
It's the most pleasant way I've ever heard someone describe murder.
Yeah. What I normally say is insides on the outside, but I don't think we actually get too many insides on the outside in this particular movie. We get a lot of really gruesome deaths. There's like a child that's hit by a car. So also like death of a young child.
He likes doing that in all his movies.
Yeah. Young
I've noticed
that.
He don't pull any punches. He's just sort of like, kids. Yeah.
No one is off the table.
No one is off the table.
But that's how it should be, though.
That everyone's fair game.
Yep.
That's real life.
His biggest theme in every horror movie is fuck them kids. That's what I'll tell you.
That's what the TikTok sound says.
Yep.
Yes.
The funny part is the clip I was going to post tonight literally is using that George Carlin audio.
Fantastic.
I mean, people coming back from the dead, other mysterious, like, I mean, I don't even know what like the ghost supernatural beings fully are, but there are supernatural beings. Like creepy nude man that appears. We get some head spins a la Exorcist, some fire burning,
definitely
stabbings,
suicide warning as well.
Yes. There's guns. There's really
There's
like
also
this
spilt milk. If you like your milk in cups,
in the cup.
in containers, and you freaked out when you spill milk, this is absolutely not for you.
They ruined a perfectly good bowl of cereal, man.
Absolutely. Like, sure, kids get hit by buses and like people get hung and glass goes in eyes, but realistically, if you're big into milk and keeping milk inside of like containers, This is not a film for you.
Chandler
Yeah.
loves milk.
God damn it. I knew that joke was coming. That's an inside joke too. Like it's just this,
100%.
there's a long story behind that one.
I hope he puts out another film and then Damien Rugna just becomes the trigger warning, just his name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Hey,
His next movie is going to be like Child Killer. I hate them. Like I was telling him, like, I swear on my life, I feel like his whole inspiration behind any of his movies is he got like a vasectomy back in like 2014, and ever since then he's just like, I hate it. Let's go.
That's oh my god.
It's the whole purpose of all his films. He's just like, kill all kids.
Yeah, maybe he should see a therapist. I don't know.
Who knows what's going on in that brain?
Honestly, who needs it? Ari Aster needs to see a therapist more than anybody. I'm just throwing that.
Oh man,
Agreed.
we've never talked about what directors we actually think should be in therapy, and that's
All of
a
them.
great
That's an
That is.
topic.
good point.
All of them.
Yes.
The answer is all of them. Yes.
Ari Aster said, I'm going to put 3 hours of my trauma onto a movie called Beau is Afraid and going to make you watch it. Here, enjoy.
Yes.
Yep.
That was his healing, though.
Yeah,
that's
that
what it
perfect
was
for him, and traumatizing and anxiety inducing
for
everyone.
everyone else.
Something being therapeutic and something being therapy are two very different things.
Fair.
Great point.
In
Excellent.
reality,
point.
that whole movie could just be considered trauma dumping. Just
Yeah.
Yes. Love that.
makes it
Well, while we're on the subject of trauma dumping, tell us about you yourselves and guys. No,
Okay, so I have this
I don't
terrible.
even have to talk.
So 2 years ago, I got in this really shitty relationship, right? Like,
Oh god.
really trauma.
Like, hang on. Are we going to be talking about the movie? Because if you give Chandler that, he's going to run
Yeah.
the full 2.5 hours.
well, tell us
Go on.
Tell us a little bit about Welcome to Creepy Camp. Before we get into Terrified and why you picked it, I'd love to hear more about that idea, that concept, and how it kind of infiltrates into podcast and TikTok.
That's all you, Fro.
Well, we've been friends for over 10 years now. Best friends for over 10 years. He's one of the only people that's like willing to watch a movie anytime, willing to watch the weird shit. And it's cool. So you probably noticed from our content, and anytime I'm live, I mention it. Chandler covers all the modern stuff and foreign, and I tend to cover all the older stuff. So there's a really good mix of things that we get to talk about, which is cool.
He also tends to like absolute garbage a lot of the time.
Oh.
Like the good garbage, you know, like just like utter camp and cheese. And like,
Yeah.
I wasn't exposed to a lot of the 80s elements and like a lot of that style of horror when I was younger. So I sort of missed out on a good amount of it. Obviously, when I became a bigger horror fan, I started diving deeper into it, but I just ended up navigating more towards modern stuff. I love foreign stuff. That tends to be my go-to, especially when it comes to Asian horror. But we get both perspectives because he tends to love just every Tubi original you could possibly think of in the worst way possible.
Yep. Full Moon Trauma Uncorked. Give it to me. I'm here.
Oh my God. And you like Night Killer. It's the worst freaking movie alive.
I could talk about that movie forever. I don't know what necessarily like prompted us to start an account, because we both had personal accounts prior.
I think that was you. I think one day you came up to me and you were just, I think we were like, you just sort of wanted to vlog or something like that.
We already had the podcast. That was already established.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like we had been doing that for a little bit, but we stopped doing it for a while.
Yeah.
Like we took like a year-long break or something like that. We just did it for fun because we both realized we both like this thing. We're like, why not have fun? We didn't expect anyone to like it or anything like that. We were just doing it for fun. And then I think you were vlogging or something like that one day when we were going to like an oddity shop or something. And you were like, maybe we should do this or start a TikTok account. And it sort of birthed from there, but it was very simple, like us just posting clips in the beginning, like, cause we didn't really know how to gain an audience. We were just sort of posting horror movies, and we figured that was like the easiest thing because everyone would watch those. They'd go viral and people would like them.
And they did really well.
They did.
For like
Yeah, they
6
did.
months.
Then TikTok definitely changed its algorithm and just absolutely
Sure.
screws everybody over.
Yeah.
But then we started doing reviews and we slowly got into that realm of things, and it just sort of kept coming about and we kept up with it. And slowly but surely gained a little bit of a following, met some incredible people in the community through TikTok, which has honestly been the best part of it. And then we had a few reviews and videos blow up. He did like a little parody with the Lost Boys with Pedro Pascal dancing to Tim Capello, which was great. And then
until they muted it.
Right. Did they mute it? Oh, because Universal. Oh my God. I didn't realize they muted that. Unbelievable.
It's still pinned, but
dude, I didn't realize that. And then ironically, speaking of Terrified, our most popular video is a review of When Evil Lurks. And it sort of blew up and gained us a lot of followers. Yeah, that was the one that really got a big following for us. And
because Chan's talked about it a few times, and obviously in the review he says, hey, if you went to go see Exorcist Believer, you missed out. I'm pretty sure, and this could just be me, but
I believe my exact words were, you fucked up.
I'm pretty sure, and this is just a ballpark, I'm pretty sure we were within easily the first 10 creators to make a review about this movie.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that was a big thing. But honestly, a lot of the following that came from that is from Argentinian followers.
Yeah, we got a big Spanish following, but neither of us speak Spanish. Doesn't help out. But
very cool.
It was very unexpected because I did that review sort of off the cuff and was just like, sure. I wasn't even that proud of it, to be honest. And then I posted it and it went
off.
That's how it happens.
Yeah, we got very lucky with that one. And then we've just been posting content ever since, and we've been slacking on the podcast. That's more my fault than anyone else's. I've just been stupidly busy with a bunch of other stuff. But Sean's been holding down the account for like a month now, just posting consistently, and I'm just over here just trying to get my shit together. So, but we're staying on top of it as best we can. But it's been a ride, and it's been really fun.
Cool. Well, if for all the listeners out there, in the description of this episode are all the links that you need to check out these two and their content, the podcast, the TikTok, and a lot of other stuff. So definitely check that out. And we're really, really excited to talk about this one. And this one is one that the three of us had never seen. And
blows my mind.
We're excited to talk through this. So, Nikisha, let me pass it back to you.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm going to pass it back to the guest because I think we need a 2-minute plot summary of this movie.
Let's do it. I don't have to do it. That's what I care
about. You first. Wait. Does he get a minute and I get a minute, or do we both get 2 minutes?
It's how you want to divvy it up.
God.
But Jamie's going to be the one that is going to time you guys. So if you want to do a minute each, she'll give you, time to switch.
I think that's cool if we each do a minute because they'll be a little bit different.
You go first.
Man, if you didn't think it was bad enough watching your wife get drug around a shower, and then watching a naked man come out from under your bed, what about watching a kid get hit by a car and then his body magically appears in the kitchen and then there's a portal in a wall?
That's excellent.
Actually, I think you just described the whole.
Yeah. That's it.
Well, yeah.
I think
you got to say it. You got to say it again. Jamie's going to count you off.
Yeah, I didn't even start the timer. You just banged it out.
We'll add more detail this time. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right, Jamie, you let me know whenever you're ready.
Cool. I'll throw up the one when there's 1 minute left if you want to switch over or if you want to take the whole thing. And then I'll give you 10 seconds when you have 10 seconds at the end. I'll count down. All right, ready, steady, go.
Man, if you thought your life couldn't get worse after watching your wife get dragged around a shower by a unknown spirit, what if a naked man crawled out from underneath your bed and watched you sleep? And then you watched a child get hit by a car in the middle of the road and you think it's over. Well, you're fucked because this child's going to walk back into the house and sit with a bowl of cereal until he's put in a freezer and then reburied in a cemetery. Oh, and there's also more naked men in this wall portal and no one's safe.
Chandler, do you have anything to add?
There's still over a minute left.
I can try. Do I need to add to that? Okay, so imagine being three paranormal investigators who are the most experts in your field, but it doesn't matter because y'all end up dead anyway. Spoiler alert. Homegirl's neck gets cracked against the wall, and then she does a little flippity flop to the car. Smile totally stole that, by the way.
100%.
Let's see here. Homeboy gets put in a cupboard. This isn't Indian in a cupboard. That's a better movie, to be honest, but we're not going to talk about it. What else? Everyone thinks Homeboy is crazy because his wife got absolutely mauled in a shower by a spiritual entity that no one could see. Arguably the hottest shower she'll ever have. Fuck them kids. Yeah, that's
it.
That's all I got.
That is great. That is the movie. Thank you, guys.
Wow, that might be the fastest 2 minutes.
Well, the funny thing is that's how I do my movie reviews. And I give you all the cool stuff and be like, if you want to watch this, do it.
I do the opposite. Right. He gives very precise, quick ass movie reviews. I give like 10-minute long, in depth, like, I either fucking hated this or fucking love this. I will drag.
Oh, for sure.
I drag most of the movies that I review. Like when I did like the Nun 2 review, or when I did, what did I do? Night Swim. Yeah. Imaginary. No.
I mean, that's totally fine. It's good to get all those perspective, but you did bring up the what I call paranormal activists, but the paranormal investigators up in this, which is great because they're very important parts of this story. So
yes, they are.
Good job, you guys. We're going to get into depth. No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying the one thing that's very interesting about this film, before we get into details, when it comes to like the paranormal investigators, or at least the lore behind Damien's movies, is everyone doesn't pull the whole I don't believe you shit. It's very in depth in the culture of the movie. So everyone has some sense of, I sort of believe what's happening, and they just want to get to the bottom of it. That's why I think it's interesting, because
they probably all seen the Kukui and they were like, "Yo, that's real."
Yeah, his wife saw the Kukui when her head got cuckooed against the wall in the shower.
Yes. I think that's a great point that leads us into our first segment, which is likes and gripes.
And now, likes and gripes.
So with that, if Chandler or Sean, you want to go and first off tell us why you chose this movie for us to watch, besides the fact that we haven't seen it, and then go through why you like it, or if you do have any gripes with it.
Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Go for it.
So when Brian sent me the list, we've seen everything on that list, I'm pretty sure. But I feel like that's a movie that if we're, recommending a movie for someone to watch based on whatever they posted, or if we're live, we're always recommending people watch Terrified, because it is a Shudder exclusive. So it's like Shudder's like, hey, this is a movie we made. It's in your face. It's on the homepage of Shudder, but it's still slept on. We're 7 years in now. And you guys didn't see it until now. You know what I mean? It's like,
old.
I will also say that I think the marketing for this movie is bad. I think that the image of that the naked monster man is not the best representation of this movie.
It looks like a cheap Tubi cover.
That's awful.
Absolutely.
It's just not done well, like at all.
Yeah. Yes.
And what got me interested in this movie and to even put it on the list is having seen When Evil Lurks, and What Evil Lurks is the best marketing for this movie.
See, that's the funny thing about that too, is it's interesting to me thinking from someone's perspective that they saw When Evil Lurks first, whereas like for us, we saw Terrified first. So I was very hyped about When Evil Lurks because I knew it was the same director of a movie I enjoyed. And he also hadn't done anything in a very long time, at least that I'm aware of. But you could also pick out the nuances when you watch When Evil Lurks. We were trying to figure out if they were actually related. Because after rewatching this, there's certain things that almost make it seem like
they're in the same universe.
Might be in the same universe.
Yeah, absolutely. What else do you guys have to say about this as far as like things that liked? Yeah.
Were you continuing, Fro?
So things that I liked. I like that primarily Spanish horror films like stay true to their culture. Like they don't
Absolutely.
weird word, but like whitewash a Spanish film.
Yes.
And like put it in like a residential neighborhood. It's like, no, we want primarily Latina areas.
Yeah.
Especially like all those houses have gates around them. You know, there's crucifixes all over the place. There's Virgin Mary statues all throughout the movie. They very kept it tight to the culture, which I really, really like. Again, Damien Rugna's not afraid to go after kids. And I think it's like a lot of directors tend to play it safe, or they won't show
they won't show the death.
Yeah, exactly. They'll hint at it.
Yes.
But like, I mean, with Pet Sematary, you knew Gage was going to get hit by the truck, but then like he comes back most of the movie and you're like, wow, that's really different. First, oh, the kid's gone. Now, how do we mourn and kind of move on from where we are? But this kid's like, I'm going to walk on the ceiling of the porch and then I'm going to sit in this chair. And then,
which I would like to comment on that, on the particular scene of his first death when he gets hit by the bus, because, when I watched this movie, I didn't know that it was the same director as When Evil Lurks, and I have seen When Evil Lurks. So now putting the pieces together after the fact, and we were kind of talking about this, I can see the similarities, but it still felt like a different movie. Beside the point. My point is, with The Boy, though, it was a really interesting thing, and it's so simple, but to see the police or whoever, forensics, spraying the blood off of the road when the boy dies, because it just kind of added to the creepiness of like, this is a real thing that has happened, and like, what is the aftermath of that? Not just immediately somebody dies, you don't see the scene and you just cut to the funeral. Yeah. It's like, no, people have to move the bodies, people have to clean up the streets, you know, and then you know, all the stuff happens. So I just thought that was a very nice detail that was added in this movie.
It was also sort of the shock value after it too, because after he gets hit and the dead body's just sort of there, like everyone's sort of surrounding him, like you see reactions from different people. Some people are just watching like what's happening, the other guy's like freaking the hell out, another person's very calm, but they're trying to understand that this just happened. Obviously the one of the main guys goes to get his wife, and it's just like
it's a very real moment. Like
yeah. Because you don't know how people
you don't know how people are going to react to that in real life. Like I don't think it's just going to be all out chaos, like, oh my god, blah blah blah. Some people are just going to be in pure shock of like also I think some people would just be purely cold to the fact that it just happened. Like it wouldn't necessarily affect them all that much, because it might be more common in certain things or to certain people, or they've seen a lot of death. Like,
because I'm sure there's those people who would have like seen it or heard it, opened the door, saw what was happening, and then just didn't want to associate, and then they just closed the door.
And then, you know, the added layer to all of that after the fact is finding out that like water can kind of go both sides and things get infected through the water and whatnot. And like water being a major theme in this movie, both from a supernatural standpoint and not. Like in hindsight, like all of these scenes in this movie that either have water or the lack of water, like the shower scene, the water's not running, and like, you know, and like, but then you have the kid drinking from the fountain, and then you have, you know, the drain at the beginning and the water clearing off the blood. Like it's this, like, it's almost integrated into every single scene. But you don't like think about it until they reveal that piece of information at the end. Like, it's his thematic work, both in this and When Evil Lurks, is truly spectacular.
Absolutely.
And how he takes themes and really works them into the fabric of the narrative, not just like tacking it on at the end with a lesson.
Agreed.
Ironically, as much as I've liked this movie and seen this movie, I've never noticed the water theme throughout.
Yeah, it's really wild to consider, like, how water is just passing. It's something that we need as a people to survive, but it's like the thing that's killing everyone too. So it's really just like a nice mirror up against that.
It's what Night Swim wanted the movie to be.
That's actually, yes, absolutely.
Spooky water. Spooky pool, water bad. Fun fact. Wait, Fro, tell your fun fact. Do you guys know the fun fact about Night Swim?
No.
That we, maybe.
Do you know whose
house
house
it is?
that was filmed at?
No.
No.
That's Michelle Branch's house.
Really?
Makes the movie better. It's the only reason.
10 times better.
It just sucked because we learned that after, and I was like, now I want a cameo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where was she?
And she wasn't even on the soundtrack.
She's just singing at a pool parties everywhere.
That would have absolutely made it 10 times better.
Yeah.
And then in the camp feel that it needed to be in instead of trying to be so serious.
Yeah.
So
Oh my God.
fantastic.
Dog shit. Oh, I hate it.
Chandler, do you have some words about Terrified? When did you first see it? When it first came out, or?
God, that's a great question. I want to say I originally saw it when it first came out. It's always been one of my more recommended films, just because now it's definitely become a little bit more popular, and I think more associated within the horror community. I think more people know about it now, especially given the popularity of When Evil Lurks, which also was not expecting, because I mean we saw it in theaters obviously, and that's one thing, but I was not expecting it to sort of blow up as it did. And now obviously you got people who hate it and people who love it, and it's a very split spectrum, which is interesting because even horror content creators that I love and we have almost identical opinions on most everything, I've seen trash the movie because of the decision making throughout the film. And I'm just like, that's a whole different story to get into later, but that's obviously something else. But I don't know. I think I originally watched Terrified when it first came out.
We watched it together.
Did we?
Yeah. So the thing about me and Chandler, which is like really good, if he wants to watch a movie, I will not watch it until we can watch it together.
I'll just watch
Nice.
it.
For the most part. Yeah. But it's very rare that we watch like a new movie, especially if we've talked about it. Very rare that we're going to watch it separate.
If it's new, absolutely, yeah. If it's like an older film, majority of the time, we both just sort of do our own thing. Majority of the time, he'll end up watching. So weird fact about me specifically, he rewatches a ton of films. I don't. I don't really rewatch movies all that often because in my head, I'd rather spend my time watching something I haven't seen yet to sort of add to that catalog, where he rewatches like everything. So it's a rare experience for me to rewatch something. So when someone always asks me, "Oh, what are your favorite movies or your favorite horror films and stuff like that?" And a lot of people say, "Well, what do you rewatch all the time?" And I'm like, I don't. I have some comfort films that I go back to, obviously, especially in the horror world. Like The Lost Boys will forever be my comfort film, and I go back to it on a consistent basis. But it's just not something I do often. So even rewatching this was strange for me because I don't do it often. I just sort of watch it, put it in the back of my head. I liked it. I didn't like it. Move on. Unless it's something I really, really love. Like, obviously, like my favorite film of all time is I Saw the Devil, which is a Korean film. So it's, I've probably seen that movie over 20 times, but that's mainly because people ask all the time, "Oh, what's a good movie?" Or if I have friends who want to watch it, we watch that. Or if I'm really in the mood to just watch something I know is good, I'm going to watch it. Even though it's one of the most bleak films you'll probably ever watch, but still,
Yes, it is.
It's fun.
For sure.
It's a good old time, you know?
So how was the second watch then? Sorry, Chandler. How was the second watch this?
It was interesting. I told him, like, I definitely didn't like it as much on the second watch, but that's not to say I didn't still enjoy it. I really enjoyed it as a film. I still think it's a great film. But there were certain things I noticed, like a lot of the effects weren't as good as I remember them being, which I get because he had budgetary restrictions. I think this was one of like his first big feature-length films, if I remember correctly.
And that was also 7 years ago, so we've progressed a lot since.
That is true. But then you also look at movies like The Thing, who were able to do that.
Sure.
Untouchable.
But it's also CGI versus practical effects, which I get. So on a second watch, though, I still loved it. I originally gave it a 4 on Letterboxd. I think I redid it and I gave it a 3.5 after rewatching it, which is still, in our standards, that's very good. It's hard for us to rank stuff on Letterboxd because we hate not having a 10 scale. I don't get the 5 thing. It's annoying.
5 is tough.
Yeah, it's nearly impossible at the time. But I enjoyed it. I still loved it on a second watch. I don't know. The thing about the entire film. I recommend it to most everyone because I love paranormal stuff, and paranormal movies tend to be one of my more favorite topics a lot of the time. Just because I think it's a unique topic if you can actually do it well and not play the same BS that every other movie does. So if you can utilize certain scare tactics and brutality and actually show stuff that's happening and not be afraid to sort of scare away from things that other movies might not like, that's sort of why I like it so much. I mean, it's one of my favorite opening scenes, if not my favorite opening scene of all time. Mainly because when I hear two things, footsteps or like thumping, and I can't see it, I don't know where it's coming from, mainly footsteps, but that's the only thing in a movie that really scares me. For him, it's all black eyes. He hates. So
Also fair.
Like if you've seen the ending of Ganjam Asylum,
Oh yeah.
he hates that.
Weak.
Yeah. Wait, what was I saying? Thumping and footsteps. So hearing that thumping and then seeing that opening scene of just something I did not expect, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, a paranormal spirit doing one thing is whatever, but a woman's body being lifelessly dragged around midair while she levitates, and her husband having to helplessly watch while he can't.
He can't do anything. Yeah.
He's basically watching his wife slowly die and get bludgeoned to death. So, and then obviously he gets blamed for it. It pulls the whole, oh, he's insane, he did it, whatever. But I like the fact that the movie sort of switched that narrative and said, hey, we actually believe you.
Yeah,
we're going to investigate this further and see what's happening. I also like the fact that it wasn't just a singular household and a singular person. It was an entire community that was being affected, and you got to see the different aspects of every single house, the different entities that were involved, a parallel universe, whatever you want to call it. And then he didn't really give a happy ending either. He doesn't really do that a lot with any of his movies, but it's just nice to see a different narrative. It was a different perspective of a paranormal film. The cultural elements are very cool. He did the same thing with When Evil Lurks, and I talked about that in my review. He just sort of throws you into the lore and cultural elements of the movie, and you don't really know what's going on unless you are a part of that culture. And slowly throughout the film, you start to pick up what this means, etc. But he doesn't give it to you like you're an idiot. He sort of consistently just goes on with the plot, and you start to understand how it works and develops.
His world building is pretty exceptional in both this and that.
Exactly. Like When Evil Lurks, it's interesting because it's like there are rules you have to abide by. What are those rules? Why is this way, etc. But you don't start from the beginning. You just get thrown into it, and then he explains as it goes on.
We love rules here and talk.
We love when there are rules to follow.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So I'm curious then, what's like the go-to horror movie that you like that involves a set of rules?
Ooh. That's such a great question.
I can't think of a go-to, but I know Brian's been rewatching all the Purge movies that I feel like are very rule.
Hold on. I got to rant then. Right. So, Purge 2, sorry to get off track here. Purge 2 is what Purge 1 should have been. Purge 1 was just a home invasion film. It was never meant to be a movie. That was stupid. But Purge 2 was what the first one should have been. Those movies, I feel like if you got a different director and made them just brutal in what they should be because the concept is evil in itself, they'd be so much better in my eyes. But to me, those movies are campy, but I don't know if they're trying to be campy.
Oh, well, fair.
The Purge movies work better when you binge them and you've seen them before. And I say that because the small, intimate world building of the first one is fascinating when you have more of an idea. And then the second one opens it up a little bit. The first one does want you leaving more. And the second one is I would say the second one's probably the best one behind. And then the third one's pretty good election.
But the issue with that to me is like with the first one, it's like you gave this whole concept of a movie, you built it up, you marketed it to be like, hey, this is legal for 24 hours, right? But you contain it to one area. And it's like,
but also thematically, the first movie is doing something that the other ones couldn't do in terms of the security and stuff like that. So like, we can talk about this forever. Yeah. But the Purge rules are great. There's a lot of flaws with the Purge rules. I mean, like vampire rules, we love like, when the evil lurk, like exorcism rules.
Vampire rules are interesting though, because I feel like they're all different. And every vampire film is something different. Movie. Yeah. But they're all I like how they're all uniquely their own. Like none of them have the exact same lore, except like maybe one rule here or there.
Yeah.
But
other than that, like it's still within a movie. Yeah. It follows itself,
absolutely.
which is nice.
It's relatively
follows
consistent,
great rules.
Dude, I love
it. Follows, yes.
Gremlins.
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 Even
Cabin in the Woods
don't make sense. I love the rules.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Totally.
That's fantastic.
Anyway, we love rules.
Well, we love rules. Yes.
A rule tangent.
A mini tangent.
Whole nother episode.
But a mini parlor talk, if you will.
Oh yeah, parlor talk. That's what it is.
Come sit, have a drink. It's parlor talk.
When we go off on the side. But to go back to this, especially in comparison to When Evil Lurks, and I want to hand this off to either Jamie or Brian to also discuss like your likes and gripes. I will say the one thing that was mentioned that I do enjoy about Terrified is that the believability of everything. And that they do just immerse you into everything that is happening, and everyone is just kind of going with it. And it's like, okay, I believe you. How do we get to this? And one of my main likes of this was the shift in, I didn't think it was going to turn into a paranormal investigation movie based off of how it started at the beginning. And so I wasn't mad that that's what it ended up being. Because at first, you have this movie and you have these two couples and you're thinking that that is going to be like the whole entire like arc of the movie. It's like trying to get to him being innocent if they see him as innocent or not. But then the fact that it's like, well, actually, no, we're actually trying to find the entity that is doing this thing. And that's what the focus of the movie is going to be. Now, I will say, I did not like that it was different people because it felt too much going on at once.
Too all over the place.
Yeah, a little too all over the place, especially because I really enjoyed When Evil Lurks, and that felt more. Even though it was an ensemble cast, it still felt like there was a one through line with this. Yeah. And you start with the main person at the very beginning and you're following, even though he's interacting with other people, you're still following him.
Yeah, his journey. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And in this one, you're, I guess, following the police officer's journey more so than the other people's, but you don't get him until the end. And it feels like when he's introduced as like a side character. So then when he becomes kind of the main focus, that kind of like threw me off a little bit.
It was very odd. Oh, no, you're good. You're good.
No, go for it. Go for it.
No, I was going to say ultimately because of that, like, it's almost like you wanted the paranormal investigators to really be the main focus for a second.
Yeah.
But that police officer, he almost felt like a side character through the whole movie, even though he is a main character about in the second and third act. And
for sure.
You're basically just following him having an absolute panic attack, that poor soul, throughout the entire movie. He's sort of just there for the convenience of shock value, I feel like. Like, you needed someone to be able to witness all the things happening that isn't experienced in all the things happening. But but it didn't necessarily work properly, like he still feels like a side character because of that.
Agreed. Yeah. So just to jump off, just because Nikisha and Chandler brought it up, I have a couple of dislikes about this movie. I really like this movie, but some of my dislikes are, like you said, I just never felt connected to any of the characters.
That's fair.
And I could not allow myself to be fully engaged with all of them. And I actually thought the movie loses a lot of steam when it focuses on Funes. I think that, you introduce at the beginning of this movie the husband and Walter, and those two feel like everyday people who we're jumping into this world, and that's the point of view we're viewing. And then the police commissioner who's retiring, like joining halfway through, and then that's the through line. What this movie lacks for me is, even though I love how it jumps through time, it never like passes the baton to somebody else in a way that other movies do. It's not like someone dies and you move to the next person, and someone dies and you move to the next person. Everyone's overlapping, and I'm not really sure who to emotionally connect with. And then this character ends up being the one that pops, and I'm just like, oh, this is not really the one that I was most interested in.
It was a bit lackluster,
Yeah, it's the very stereotypical, like, he's got a health problem and he's retiring.
Right.
I've had enough of this shit. Like, I'm just like, okay.
Do you find that, I'm curious, like, do you find that sort of unique about it though? Because
Yes.
like, obviously people want to emotionally connect to their characters. You want to have some emotional involvement or attachment, because if all characters are just disposable, it's just sort of silly, and ultimately you have nothing to really grab onto in the movie. But I agree with that. I don't like that about it as well. But at the same time, I feel like that also makes it unique, because it's like, we're not going to give you a main character. We're just going to sort of tell this story as it is and see if you enjoy it.
Well, I think that's interesting, because I think that makes this movie unique, but I don't know if the intention met the execution of that for me.
That's fair. I wonder if he did that on purpose. Like that's,
maybe.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Like,
totally.
Was that on purpose or not? I wonder.
And I forget who mentioned this earlier, but one of my favorite things about this movie, I may have been Nikisha or Chandler. I love that this is not like The Boogeyman or something like that, where it's the same scare in a different way for an hour and a half. They do the one scare, they stop, and they change the scare completely. I feel like this movie had, I wrote down, tone scares, creepy, crawly scares, real good jump scares, paranormal activity scares, body horror scares, silence scares, like static movement scares. Like, this is just like truly exceptional. Like, if someone was like, I don't kind of know what kind of scares I like this movie, like, list them in order of which one because like nothing was the same, and that subverted all of my expectations. But at the same time, there was no consistency in character, so I appreciate the uniqueness of the movie, but definitely missed an attachment to somebody, even though I was fully engaged the whole time.
Yeah, that's fair.
But sorry, Nikisha, go back to you.
No. I was going to give it to Jamie or you, Brian, to talk more about your likes and gripes with it.
Jamie, go for it.
So I really liked this movie, and also I haven't seen When Evil Lurks, so I just had to say all of those things. All right, yeah, so I'll just
start
I'll
off
go
with
now. Thanks.
Well, at least you know what you're in for now.
No, that's why I haven't watched it yet, because I know exactly what I'm in for.
Shame.
She's read the plot summary. She knows what it's about.
I'm a spoiler-friendly gal. I know exactly what this movie's about, which is why I was like,
How do you feel?
Maybe not.
How do you feel about dogs?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I know what works for me, and I know what maybe I want to work myself up to. I think I'm just like very deeply affected by media, so I'm like, I do want to see it, but I need to be like in the right
presence
mindset. Yeah, like it has to be like the perfect setting, space, mental intention for me to like take all of that in and not be like a full piece of shit, like falling on the ground sobbing by the end of it. So
for sure,
but that's also why I was excited for this, because I was like, okay, like, let's get into this director. I'm excited to see like what the deal is going to be. And I really enjoyed it. So like, I'm also wondering if my enjoyment of this is so, I mean, you both watched it like before, obviously, When Evil Lurks came out, but like, I really enjoyed it without having any of that other influence. A lot of the stuff that you're talking about, like Brian, that you were saying that you felt like was a gripe, I kind of liked, because I felt like that kept me more on my toes. Not having like a one consistent like protagonist that we're following and that we're like getting to know well enough kind of was like, okay, what the fuck is going to happen next? And like just made me more nervous about like anything could happen. Like, again, like if a kid's getting hit by a bus, anyone is fair game. I don't want to have one person that I'm becoming overly attached to.
You're gonna
and then have them.
Evil lurks.
I don't want to build any connections with anyone.
You're gonna love what evil lurks.
If they're all gonna
big yikes,
they're all gonna get bopped out of the way. So for me, it really worked, and I did really like how it like fully shifted. I think talking about the marketing for this movie, the thing aside from the poster, the thing that didn't work for me was like the description of just like, it's a movie about like supernatural events with paranormal investigators. And I'm like, first of all, like, yes, kind of, but like, it's so much more than that. What a shitty description for a movie. Like, can we do a little bit better? And I get that they want it to be vague, but also like, I don't know. I just feel like we can, make it a little bit more sexy and like exciting and enticing.
A community is terrorized by a supernatural entity, like that
by a sexy supernatural entity.
By a sexy supernatural,
and he's naked.
Yeah, I mean that's the ultimate sexy, right?
Naked.
There you go.
Yeah, so I just like that.
Oh no, he's more scary than sexy.
Yeah, that's also true. But yeah, I just feel like I would see it all the time, like scrolling through, but I don't know, it just wasn't compelling enough. So like finally getting to it, I was like, great, I'm really glad that I saw this movie. I also agree with Ryan that like all of the scares being like there was so much variety. I really liked that. All of the deaths that you get in general, like also a lot of variety. There's no consistency. Like you also going to the rules thing. I do like rules, but I also like how there's so many things that are just unexplained that we don't really know. Like, why the fuck is this happening? What does water have to do with it? Like, is any of this resolved? Like he burnt down all the houses, but like obviously the haunting has continued. Like it's just like very open-ended and it didn't bother me. Like in some cases I'm like, no, I want a conclusion. Give it to me now. But like this didn't, I wasn't upset that we didn't get like all of the answers by the end.
Do you think maybe it's probably also because of how the movie was set up with like, you don't have a main protagonist, the time jump is happening. Yeah. And so then it just adds to like, and we don't know how this is working and so it's all in theme.
Yeah, I mean, it really helped me kind of throw all of my expectations out the window earlier on so that I could just like vibe with the movie. Because that's often what my biggest gripe is that like I am bringing my own expectations into whatever's about to happen. And then it gets in the way of me like actually enjoying it because I'm bringing like my logic and like all of my bullshit in. So like I like that this really set up me to be like, forget all of that and just like enjoy what's happening. And like, I mean, I got scared several times watching this. And yeah, I know, Nikisha, it doesn't happen. I was alone watching it. I had like most of the lights turned out and it actually gave me a nightmare. So like when we get to our scores, I'm absolutely going to bump it up a few. I don't give a lot of nightmares from horror movies and this one really got me. So that's high praise.
He's very effective with his scares. Like the thing is, like the thing I hate about most modern day, I'll say big production, Blumhouse. I'm talking.
Yeah, you can say it.
Call him out. Call him out.
Yes.
It's just like you're basically playing on a trope of just consistent jump scare after jump scare after jump scare that are just very predictable and BS, and it gets overdone. It's like at that point, you're not scaring me, you're surprising me. That's not scary. Like if you want to scare me, show me something, make me anxious, make me panic, do something. That's like when I first saw Hereditary for the first time. The thing I liked about Ari Aster is that he doesn't pan away. He makes you look at the thing that makes you uncomfortable, and he continues to make you look at it. Yeah. He doesn't cut back and it's gone. He cuts back and it's still there, and he's going to pan into it. And that's why I like this movie as well, is because he does the same things. Like he basically makes you look at the more uncomfortable thing, and he doesn't stray away from it because he wants to effectively cause that anxious feeling of like, okay, well, what else could be around the corner? You know, like, what else is happening? But it's also, he gave such a variety of scares, like you were talking about. It's not to mention a variety of entities as well, which sort of made it interesting as well. Like you didn't get the same tall naked man. You got like a bunch of other stuff, even though that was obviously the main one. But
Yeah.
I feel like he effectively throws different scares in to sort of keep things fresh and keep things interesting.
Yeah, it was really it just continually kept me on my toes, and like that I think just made it really effective without it feeling like cheap. Like blah, 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 like over and over again, where it's like, okay, I'm done here.
Yeah, I think one of the most effective scares in the movie, and he pulled the Carpenter "they live" tactic. He's watching him in the house, and he's like, "Hey, someone's literally in the house."
Oh.
And he's like, "I can't."
That's
see
the
him."
best.
And then shifting between the panels of the glass, and you can see him.
Favorite.
And then the next second, he's in your face at the glass.
Yep.
It was way more.
That was literally in my
effective
likes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, it's just like
Yeah.
I think that was the most effective one of the entire movie because they
I
played
agree.
it so well because you didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't have it be like It Follows. Obviously, not talking anything bad about it, but it's like you didn't see him come out of the house, cross the street slowly. It's just he's in the house, he's gone, he's there.
Like bam. Yeah.
The tension from that is like pre-built. I might be wrong, but that scene where he's like, "Do you see anything under the bed? Oh, come to this side."
Yeah.
Oh, it's just his feet.
Well, yeah, because he played it. It's like the parallel dimension situation.
Yeah, like the
you
two
see it from the
realities.
feet, but then you also see his head on the other side coming from the tunnel, so you
like-
don't know where it's
Yeah.
coming from.
So like it sets up those rules, but you're not even thinking about those at that time. And like, damn, that's such a good scare, and it's a smart scare too. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
was
I just, the two reality thing was like a really wild and just like very clever. And I was like, what? There's nothing to try to like make sense of it. But then it just opens up the possibility for like, okay, so like literally any angle I could potentially see something and then not see it again.
True.
Like that's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's horrifying to think about.
Terrified.
It is. It makes me terrified.
Yes. Enough to where you had a nightmare about it. Jeez.
Yeah, I sure did. I would say my only real gripes is in the beginning, the husband took way too long to check on his wife.
Thank you.
An unacceptable amount of time passed
Yes.
where his wife goes off and he's hearing loud thumping. And I'm just
I feel like you would have known that was inside your own house versus
Right?
like.
what?
Versus out. Yes.
Yeah,
Agreed.
because like I actually talked to Chandler about that, and I didn't notice it our first watch.
that
And
the
I
houses
was
are
like,
connected.
"Yeah, I'm like they're not connected. So how were you even
But they
expecting
are.
him to be using?"
They were villas.
but even
But, like,
still,
if I heard any sound, whether or not I knew if it was coming from inside or outside of my house, I think the first thing I would do is be like, Brian, are you okay? Like I would
check in.
Like
check in.
realistically, I slipped in the bathroom. Like that's
Or something. But what I found weird about it, and I noticed this on another watch, obviously, is that thumping started almost like 2 seconds after she closed the door. So she wasn't like even in the shower, nothing. So it's like almost as soon as that door closed, she almost entered that paranormal realm. And then that paranormal too is like, hey, come here.
Yeah,
It's like, gotcha.
Yeah, because she clearly didn't get in the shower. She wasn't naked, so she was still
Right.
and everything.
water
So,
wasn't on.
yeah, so like clearly she got in and then instant.
Bam.
So it's like he was waiting on it. He's just sort of sitting there like, open the door.
yeah. The other one that annoyed me was also in the beginning with the neighbor when he's like going to bed and then his entire bed starts moving and that doesn't immediately wake him up. Like, excuse, I know that I am a light sleeper, but like that was unacceptable.
Yes.
If somebody's moving in your bed, you are awake. You are alerted that like, how are you such a deep sleeper that like unfazed, unbothered?
To be fair, my sister has slept through insane shit. So like,
You heard it here first, folks.
Like,
you can sleep through.
I've seen
Through a paranormal act. Yes.
Like, I've literally seen people sleep through some weird shit that should not be normal. So you never know.
My God. Yes. Well, I did want to have I had one question for the whole group. Tell me, you can only pick one of these, either your favorite death or favorite jump scare in this movie. And Sean already said mine, which was the going back and forth, because that's what that was the best part of the entire movie for me. That was just an excellent scene, an excellent shot, an excellent jump scare. But does anyone have like a favorite death or a favorite jump scare in this?
You go for it, Brian.
My favorite is the window, but I do want to give a huge shout out to the hand out of the wall, like mid sentence.
She went,
Yeah.
Yes.
That felt very Deep Blue Sea, like this, like
Get over here.
You subvert expectations of like when something's gonna happen. Like I just like really dug that. That was very, very. That was a lot of fun.
He set it up well too, because he like sort of panned to the side and was like,
Totally.
Here you go.
I was like, too much space.
Why are we seeing this wide shot? Because something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why is it quiet all of a sudden? Oh, okay. We'll see how.
And why is she so calm? She was just like, you can't change it.
Too
Like, he was like, how do we get rid of it? He's like, you can't.
Well, yeah, she was also like had a little flashlight, was just staring into there like it was a little raccoon or something instead of like an evil entity of a body just about to like be evil.
Hi, come out.
It's like,
Jingle, jingle.
Like,
Yes.
do you want a treat? Here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Jamie, does anyone else have one? Yeah.
Oh, you can go, Jamie, if you want to go first.
Oh, I was gonna say the one that Smile copied really got me. Just like
I love that
because you see something coming from the background and you're like still trying to register it. Like she's walking at a pace where like you have not yet made sense of like, what is that? And then like it hits and I'm just like, nope, not for me.
Whole body's just folded
fully.
backwards.
Yeah. It's like,
she's just
how
like,
do you,
hey, guys.
how flexible?
Looks like a
Gross.
the wacky inflatable arm wheeling tube.
On the car in the car dealerships? Yes.
That was our note moment.
We actually talked about that last night too. After the scene where he's driving away and it's already nighttime, I was like, I kind of wish she would have still been chasing him. It wouldn't.
They're like, so you just hear in the background doing the arm flail. I actually really enjoyed that one. I forgot about that one for a second because like 100% Smile took that from that movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
They also didn't put it in the trailer or market that like Smile did, even though it's one of the best scares in Smile, and you ruined it with the trailer. But I digress.
Trailer failure. We talk about it all the time.
Gross me out. Ooh, trailer failure.
I don't even.
Did you
like
just
watching
coin
trailers.
that?
I like it.
That's good.
We say that all the time, Jamie.
time.
Don't we?
We say trailer failure?
Write it down. Coin it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I stole it from y'all. So
No, it's copyrighted.
Coin it right now.
Trailer failure.
Oh,
sorry. Keep going, Chandler.
no, you're good. You're good. That one, I really love the shower scene just because it's something about just someone's body just being flailed around like a rag doll in midair is just very odd. It's just not something you can really get used to. I'm not a big jump scare fan. I tend to hate jump scares. I think they're cheap tactics. If they can be pulled off correctly and well, I enjoy them, like the window scene they did in this one. But majority of the time, I just think they're silly. Like if you're going to pull off some type of jump scare, I think it should be able to be done without music or sound effects. If it can be done without sound effects, it's a good jump scare.
Sure.
But like Halloween, like original Halloween pulls it off very well. But I don't know. I want to say the shower scene. I do like the one of her being pulled through. I think that him just homeboy chilling in the cupboard or whatever it was like. Like you're just like, how did you get in here? And then he's just sort of prying it open. Also, he had a gun, and he just sort of was like, I'm going to pry this open with a weird sound coming from it and something banging on it. I would have shot first and asked questions later. Like, what are you doing?
Honestly, yes. What's the point of having the gun?
I like that was the intro though, because the first view of that guy was just his feet from underneath the and you're like, well, you're already in here. You got in here somehow.
Well, no. The dude in the cabinet was the police officer. The dude who got stuffed into the cabinet that he was prying open, that was the police officer.
That was the
I'm not talking about that one.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking like when he's in the bed trying to sleep. You first get that shot of the legs. And then he's like, I'm going to get in the closet. And then
I like that actually. The first shot of him under the bed because his body's like folded awkwardly.
Yeah.
Just sort of standing there like.
Yeah.
So like, I don't like that. just the subtle details of the kid too. Like your dead child's just chilling there with like a messed up face, and you're just like, I don't know what to do here. I'm just gonna give him a bowl of cereal and see what he says.
And then when he like slightly turns his head,
instinct.
The head turn was so good.
The head turn was
the kid
excellent.
Who killed it and stuff
Yes.
like that.
Oh yeah.
Also, him putting a flower pot on top of the freezer as if he couldn't get out of that.
He got out of a grave.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what Fro said when we were watching. He's like, he got out of a full blown grave in a
Because they didn't even lock the freezer.
No.
Yeah.
This will do it. Let's do that.
In another movie, some of those things would have been played for laughs, but it wasn't in this one.
Absolutely.
So it totally was weird.
Yeah, in
some of those specific places.
This is a bit strange. I think the one that really just caught me off guard the most that I really actually enjoyed and I now forgot is the same one as Jamie with the fucking bent backwards. Just the way it looked was sort of comical, but also at the same time you look at that like, oh, that's actually really fucked up. That's like I would be horrified if that was running at me. Like I wouldn't know what to do. So
hit the gas immediately. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
I
Keep
will
going.
I will give him props. He did that. I love that too because he did that. He just took a smoke break and was like, "Woo-saw," and then said, "Let's go."
Yep. It's like, it's time. Yeah, absolutely.
Also,
Sean, are you sticking? Oh, so no, go ahead. Sean,
no. I was just last thing. Props to the police officer that he was talking to on the walkie-talkie when he was like, "Just get the fuck out of there." And the guy was like, "All right."
Yes.
He's like, this
Absolutely.
guy looks weird.
I'm staring. He's just staring back at me. He's like, "Get the fuck out of." Okay,
Get out. Like, what's wrong with you?
It's like my favorite character in a horror movie ever is Homeboy from Taking of Deborah Logan. And it's the cameraman. He goes.
He said, "I'm out."
No, he said, "Fuck you guys, I'm bye," and he's alive. So he was smart.
Exactly.
He said, "No."
What? Also a great movie.
Also a great movie. We actually just saw Immaculate the other night, and he was Fro mentioned how like there are some scenes that are there's like a cave-ish scene that's like relatively has notes of Taking Deborah Logan. Yeah. There's no giant woman with a giant mouth and teeth, but you know.
Jamie hates a big mouth, right?
Yeah, that's you were talking about black eyes and like your weird stuff. Like mine's big mouths.
You should watch
big mouths.
Chunky.
What is it? Chompy. No, it's Chompy. Chompy and the Girls. It is literally a big movie about a dude who can please show the photo that can elongate his whole mouth.
Oh Jesus Christ! What?
And he can just
I hate it.
He can just swallow people whole. It is.
Oh wait. Incredible. I think I saw this on. I saw this on TikTok.
Like this.
I definitely, I 100,000% saw this on TikTok and was like,
But if you didn't know, there's a parallel universe inside his mouth.
And he's basically like a cosmic being that can store and protect people inside his mouth universe.
But like the first scene of him is just him like swallowing
a girl, and it's like comically awkward. He's just sort of like bent over like this. Have you ever seen the when like the mascot, like the inflatable mascot, swallows the cheerleader? It's a video like they were like in an NBA game, and like he literally just goes up to her and goes, and then like she like gets absorbed into his costume. That's literally what this looks like. It's like comical, and then he just does this and like shakes, and her whole face.
Oh,
that is
wild.
Insane. Well, Jamie, you'll have to watch it and report back to
absolutely not. It's small mouths only.
Believe it or not, that's what she said. Sorry, it was necessary. It's actually a decent movie.
Yeah,
like it's fun.
Like we expected it to be real dumb,
and it was actually decent.
Yeah,
because like when you find out like he's not bad
villain, he's not the villain. Yeah,
because like that's the only way that he can, like he has to walk up to you and you're like, yo, you've got a big fucking mouth, get away from me. But he's like, no, like I don't want to hurt you.
Yeah, he'll be like running at you and he's like his mouth's just like swinging and you're just like,
he just wants help.
He's like, help me.
It's terrifying.
It's pretty fun.
Okay, well,
that's an interesting fear also, by the way. Why big mouths?
That's a good question.
You're the
I mean, for the
therapist.
reasons that you guys just said.
Well,
Yeah,
you're-
and everything you just
crazy.
described is terrifying.
Well, you're the therapist, so I assume there's got to be some like back hidden.
Some deep trauma.
It's an oral fixation trauma.
That's not what I meant, but
That is
Some Freudian
fantastic.
shit. I don't know. I don't know why. It just feels really odd to me, and it just really freaks me out.
Well, now
I don't know.
I want to go down the line now. What's everyone's like one thing in a horror movie that like legitimately gets you? Like specific thing.
Leg injuries.
Leg injury. So you hate the ruins. Got it.
Like knees and Achilles, like no.
Bones coming out. Is that,
No, not yeah, but like it's more like the joints and ligaments. Like when someone's knee goes the other. Like I also
Hostile.
like anything
Yeah.
like
hostile.
like we used to mention Pet Cemetery, Under the Bed,
Okay.
like stuff like that, like knees going the wrong way, like
Interesting,
like
okay.
like if I'm watching a NFL game or a college game and like and I'm watching a knee injury live, like the knees aren't supposed to go that way.
So you don't put Kevin Ware's injury in the college basketball game on repeat
Like-
all the time?
No. And if I get it on TikTok, I have to immediately like go away because then my algorithm like haunts me eventually.
Leg injuries.
Is it specifically legs?
Yes.
Or is it like arms and stuff too?
No, I don't. Elbow injuries and forearms and broken arms. It's legs.
Interest. Is there one specific movie that is worse than anything else for you? That's so interesting.
But also the feet in Misery doesn't bother me. It's like ankles and knees. It's not even broken legs. It's ankles and knees.
That's so specific.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
Did Achilles stuff bother you?
Yeah, like when he slashes the Achilles in
Hostel
or Pet Cemetery.
Pet Cemetery too. Have you seen
like-
Frontiers?
No, I haven't seen
The French film? Oh my god, that's worse than Hostel. He takes bolt cutters. And
Like I like that. That's not that's my thing.
interesting. Okay.
I can't stop
thing.
thinking about the scene from
Yes.
Scary Movie 1.
Oh,
Where she's like, oh, what if I break my leg? And then just twists the bone out.
Yeah.
Crazy.
that
Insane.
even existed. What about you, Nikki?
So many traumas. So speaking of traumas, let's move on to our next section of brains.
Crap.
We lost her. She'll join us back again. But so what I'll do is I'll introduce this. Actually, there's two more things I want to say about the movie before we go into the next segment. One, the sound design of this movie was spectacular.
Yeah.
And it's not just the score. There's always something going on with the score that's building that pacing. So for instance, blood pumping or keeping up the a lot of that stuff is really good.
Well, first off, I wanted you to answer the favorite horror.
Oh God.
Or which one gets you? Like, what gets you the most?
Okay, for me, we're talking about traumas in movies or things that like really freak us out. I will say, in all honesty, any movie where a man needs therapy, that's trauma for me.
What's wrong with
I'll
a
leave it
man
at
going
that.
to therapy?
No, a man who needs therapy and doesn't
needs
have therapy.
That's like everybody in a horror movie, though.
It is. Specifically, though, let's talk about Micah in Paranormal Activity. Like, dude,
Micah, he
from the jump.
sucks.
He's the suckiest of suckiest.
He's just a shithead. First off, I can go on a rant about Paranormal Activity for like ever, because Paranormal Activity to me still holds up as a top 5 found footage movie in my eyes.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
And I don't think it will ever go anywhere, because I think what that movie did for the found footage scene is undeniable. But he is arguably the shittiest man in a movie, at least a horror movie, aside from maybe Homeboy from Midsommar.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, for sure.
And then, oh God, now we should do a whole episode on just toxic narcissists.
Well, we have a list of like bad boyfriends, bad husbands.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have one?
And then
of
bad therapists.
Wait, hold on. You gotta flip it though. Do you have bad girlfriends as well? There is both.
Yeah,
we have bad best friends. We have bad girlfriends. We have bad boyfriends.
Bad
we have
therapists.
bad therapists.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
we've got a full list. Like boyfriend from The Watcher.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, he sucks.
I would love to see your list, like from your perspective of therapists in horror films and how and how inaccurate they are.
Oh,
Oh, she talks about it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I caught it.
She gets into
immediately.
rants, and it's great.
It's
It's
infuriating.
the greatest thing ever.
Did you
Yes.
see the new Boogeyman?
We did see it, right?
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did. Yes.
Curious
It
from
was
his
awful.
perspective. Yeah, because he seemed pretty like a shitty therapist, to be honest. Because homeboy let
Oh right, I
that
forgot
guy
that the
in.
father is a
Yeah.
therapist.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, he sucks.
He let that dude in, and he's like, "You're not presenting any danger or anything. You just walked in my house."
Yeah, I completely forgot. I also compartmentalize things that like I don't like, so I just forgot that he was a therapist entirely.
Wasn't a good movie, so I don't blame you.
No.
Which is unfortunate because he's also a very good director, just not in that film.
Yeah.
Alas.
He should stick.
Alas. All right. Well, let's move on to Brains. This is where we talk about even more about therapists and human health. Human behavior and mental health. I pulled a Brian. Switch them around. Jamie. So, yes. Question, maybe if I do more of these, like my stuff will stop freezing because it'll just like focus on me more.
There you go. Yay.
Yay. All right. So Jamie, my first question to you is, there was a quote that said, fear is contagious. And I would just like for you to talk about if you believe if that statement is true. And if it is it true for just like macro situations, speaking on like fear mongering and stuff like that? Or in this case of the movie, it's just in between like these two people. And one is like, fear is contagious. Like, I'm trying to be calm here as fireworks come up behind me. And and your fear is like interfering with what I'm trying to do here. So could you just talk about that for a moment, please?
Yeah. I think like it's interesting thinking about how that can come up in like just a 2-person thing or beyond that. Like some of the things that made me think of in a 2-person thing, just as maybe this isn't necessarily related, but it's the first thing I thought of is the shared psychosis, also known as, my French is bad, folie à deux. Which is which is very rare.
Omelette
du fromage. Yes.
I don't speak French, so I'm so sorry. But it's a very, very rare psychiatric diagnosis of like a shared delusional belief. So like, just thinking about how something can start within one person and then also be shared with at least one other person, I think is interesting. If you go bigger, it makes me think about like groupthink. It makes me think about like Evil Dies Tonight. That was the second thing that I thought about. Truly. But like very much where it's like, how an idea can grow and how like when others are influenced by other people. And so like, I do think that then can like blossom into this much bigger thing. And so like, as soon as you plant the seed of like something being scary, is it harder for you to then like use your own judgment and like intuition in deciding how to move forward, and like the fear kind of takes over instead. So like, those are just some things that I was thinking about of like the idea of fear being contagious, or at least how like we can be influenced in like group settings by other people and might not necessarily listen to our own like voices or instincts in scary situations. But in terms of fear, like actually being contagious, like I don't think that happens across the board, but I do think that people in group spaces can be influenced because of people pleasing, because of, like you want to fit in, because, maybe their reasonings are super compelling. And so again, like you're kind of putting your own thoughts on the back burner and just like buying into that. So, those were some of the things that like that idea made me think of.
I can agree with that because, I was just thinking about like if you're ever in like an open setting, like in a mall or an airport, if you see a bunch of people running, you don't ask questions. You just go.
You have to
and then you find out later.
To be fair, white people shenanigans, they will usually ask questions. Everyone else will run.
True.
Stupid ass white people will go, I wonder what's happening. Let's go check it out.
Welcome to horror movies, baby.
God, dude.
That's one of my favorite.
Gotta love it.
White people get stuck in a stupid place and try to get out.
That's also my dad's favorite. He loves white people in the woods. Is his jam.
A place where people don't belong.
You won't catch my. I'm going to say you won't catch my ass in the middle of the ocean. You won't catch my ass in the forest or the woods. Period. No, I'm not dumb. I like weird shit.
No,
not dumb.
Right. It's like we all enjoy horror but we're not trying to get like occult objects like in our spaces, you know, like we know better. We know better.
There are no Ouija boards allowed in this home ever. No.
Low wake up board. Have you guys seen the TikTok of the girl who's like, she's like hiking or something and she gets in her car and she's like, so I found this thing on a hike and I don't really know what it is. It was just sort of sitting there and then the girl stitches it as a Jamaican woman. And she's like,
yes.
Put it back.
I did see that.
I saw one of like people moving into a house and they were like, we found this boarded up door. And so we opened it and then we found a chest and inside of it was locked and there were all these Bibles wrapped up in like things. And it was the same woman that was like, put it back.
Y'all
Do
ever
not
seen
touch it.
Evil Dead? Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's great.
Right. Yeah. Or just like if there are Bibles wrapped up, like you got to leave the place immediately.
Leave.
Do not move in.
If it's wrapped in skin, not for me.
The Bible's
Not for
scary
me.
enough as it is without opening it.
Yeah.
Truly.
It is true. Very
Truly. Okay, my last question, Jamie, for you is I'm thinking more on like forensic scientists and like coroners and just people who deal with death and seeing death all the time. How do you think that can affect their mental health? Also, like, what do you think they're probably doing so that it doesn't affect their mental health negatively, seeing death, being around death, like as a profession?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a forensic anything or a coroner, but I imagine that, like, for one, I'm sure that there has to be like something that's like compelling you to be in that field, and so like I feel like, you know, there's the part of like the interest that's leading you into something that you probably can imagine will be like really hard at times, depending on the kinds of things that you're encountering. I also hope that like in knowing that, then there's like an idea of like, how do I support myself going into this? I think that there's like a lot of fields where like self-care comes up. I mean, hopefully the idea of self-care comes up.
Hopefully,
like
yes.
In the schooling, like before you're even in the field, like at least for me, you know, in social work school, self-care was a major theme that came up like within the education of like going into this field. Cause it's like, you're working with people and like people come with a lot of things and you're going to encounter some really hard things. So like, how do you get up each day to keep doing this job that you say you want to do? And like, what is going to like sustain that momentum? So again, like, and I think that goes for a lot of like human service professions. I think that goes for a lot of like jobs that are dealing with like trauma on a regular basis, not just their own trauma, but like it's still traumatizing to be around other people's trauma. So really considering like, how are you taking care of yourself so that you're not bringing work home, so that you're not like, you know, thinking constantly about these things, so that you're able to like focus on doing the job effectively and like that's what it is, that it's not then like continuing to impact you in your other areas of your life. If it starts to impact like, you know, your ability to spend time with friends or like if you stop going out entirely, like you're isolating yourself, like that could be a huge red flag that something is really wrong. So I think like paying attention to all of those things, and like, yeah, just being really like mindful about like how your mental health could be affected in different fields, like especially this one, and like having a solid support system, perhaps therapy, you know, just putting it out there.
We love therapy here. We're a fan. Yes.
We're very pro therapy, but yeah,
Very pro therapy.
I think that self-care should really be like, I love that it's like taught in the educational background, because I feel like it really should be, because it's like, you're going into this field, like, yes, we're going to teach you how to like do it, but also you have to know how to take care of yourself while you're doing it. And like, that's what's going to allow you to be successful in this field. So I hope that, like, you know, even in medical school and like things like that, where you might be encountering like a lot of death or like a lot of really traumatic bodily injuries or like other things, you know, that there is also this emphasis on like, but also take care of yourself, because
absolutely,
this is really intense work.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, that's all I have for Brain. Should we rotten tomatin this?
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Pause. What was that phrase?
Rotten tomatin.
Rotten tomatin for Rotten Tomatoes.
Is that a thing? Do people say it that way?
That's the thing on
just
our
us.
podcast.
Rotten tomatin, bro.
The rotten tomatin.
We've developed a vocabulary here. We don't say franchise, we say chain,
We say
because
chain.
I made the mistake of calling something a chain like a restaurant. But we mean franchise.
We also say trailer failure, but Jamie doesn't remember.
Jamie forgot.
You know, I'm sorry. We're just hashtag trying our best.
Would you
And that's
try
also
that?
one of our phrases.
Yeah.
Me,
We're not
every day of my
experts,
life.
we're lovers. All right, so let's do the rotten tomatin.
It's the Rotten Tomatoes game.
So we're going to go around the horn. Everyone say what you think the percent on Rotten Tomatoes is, the critic score, and then we're going to do what you think the Letterboxd out of 5 score is.
Interesting.
So,
Okay.
Price is Right rules, of course.
Yes.
$1.
Jamie, why don't you go first for Rotten Tomatoes? What do you think this has on Rotten Tomatoes?
I'm gonna guess like 68.
You missed a great opportunity there.
The thought briefly crossed my mind, but I deducted one because it wasn't sexy enough in the marketing.
How dare you?
Fair. Chandler,
I'm dead.
what do you got?
Rotten Tomatoes score. Okay, Rotten Tomatoes is always a little tricky.
Yes.
I think it's pretty well received, but I also don't think it's as well known, so it might not have as many scores. 75.
All right, Nikisha?
I'm going to say 70.
And Sean?
56.
How dare
It
you
has
not
a
say 60?
77, so that
Nice.
is Chandler.
Nice.
It's it has a 68% for an audience score, so Jamie nailed
got
that
that one.
one.
Yep.
Wow.
There you go.
There's no critics consensus because there are only 13 reviews on this movie.
That's even more right.
Yeah.
All right. What do we think this has out of 5? Remember, there are decimal points for the averages on Letterboxd. Let's go reverse order. Sean,
3.6.
Nikisha,
2.3.
That's how dare you?
wow.
I don't know.
That's like Night Swim quality. Come on now.
It wasn't even that high. You gave it a 2.
I think Night Swim literally has like a 1.4 or something.
'Cause it's awful.
Yeah, well deserved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nikisha, Chandler.
Letterboxd. Okay. 3.
Okay, cool.
3.0.
3.0. And then Jamie.
I'm gonna say 3.2.
All right. On Letterboxd, this has a 3.2.
Dang.
Good job, Jamie.
I was deciding 3, 2, 3, 3, and I went lower, especially based on the audience score of Rotten Tomatoes.
I feel like Letterboxd and Rotten Tomatoes though vary pretty heavily a lot.
Yeah, well, I definitely don't trust Rotten Tomatoes as much because I feel like a lot of the critics are just being paid to write really great.
That's why my score was low. Most of the Leprechaun franchise has a 0.
Sure.
And those movies are fun as hell. They're not good, but they're fun.
I just watched it for St. Patty's Day.
As you should.
And if we were curious, the Night Swim has a 1.8.
Yeah.
Too high.
Too high.
Drop it. Let's go.
Give it a 2.3. How dare you?
Sorry.
Should we do the 4 S's?
Yeah.
Yes.
Skull, scare, shakes, and suggestions. The talking horns, 4 S's.
Yes.
So the 4 S's are skulls, scares, shakes, and suggestions. We rate them 1 through 10. Skulls is how well this movie handled mental health and human behavior. Scares is how scary was this. Shakes is this a one-time watch and you'll forget it? How much will you be able to shake this off? And then we'll get into suggestions after the numbers. Jamie, why don't you start?
Sure. For Skulls, I'm surprising myself. I actually gave it an 8.
Wow.
And I deducted points because the thing that bothered me the most is that they all split up and went to different houses. They should have just gone together to each house in a group. But whatever. I'm not in the movie.
Investigators, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, big mistake, huge. For Scares, I gave it a 6 because again, this film gave me a nightmare, which like very rarely happens. As an aside, I am a chronic nightmare sufferer, but it's never actually related to any content that I watch. It's mostly because I have a lot of anxiety. So very unrelated, but like I had like a nightmare about this movie. So I feel like I have to pay it respect in the scare score. And for Shakes, I'm going to give this a 6. And I think part of that is like, I think it's pushing me more to watch When Evil Lurks like sooner because I did really enjoy this movie. And I now I'm very curious about this director's filmography and like want to see more of what's going on here. So, yeah. Cool.
Nikisha.
Yes, for Skulls, y'all are gonna hate my scores, but whatever. I'm me. Skulls, I gave this a 4. Yeah, just people weren't people how I wanted to. It's mostly because the reactions were so late. I needed people to react to things like a little bit quicker. Scares, I'll give it a 2 because there was a jump scare that got me, and I was mad that it got me. But here we are. And Shakes, I'm changing my score. I'm going to give it a 5.
So basically you hated this movie.
I didn't.
We're very
I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed Evil Lurks like so much more.
Okay.
And
I got a better question. Hold on. What's your favorite horror film?
that is a whole nother podcast.
Pick one.
I like slashers. I'm a slasher girl.
Fine.
So any kind of slasher movie.
Why are all my questions
is my jam.
Yeah, I know.
What am I doing here?
Say you broke my internet, Chandler, by asking me that question. I like slashers.
Multiple times, apparently.
Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
So what's your favorite slasher? What's your favorite slasher?
We'll never
So
find
Scream
out.
franchise, yeah. Freddy,
I just need to stop asking
Krueger, Nightmare on
questions,
Elm Street.
apparently.
Yes. Oh my God, am I frozen again? This is never gonna let me answer this. I'm just gonna say Nightmare on Elm Street. Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
It's a great series. Well, until the remake, but we don't talk about that.
Also, they're almost all on Netflix right now. Besides Freddy's Dead.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, believe me, I've watched all of it.
I need to rewatch New Nightmare soon.
I love A New Nightmare. That's my jam.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sean, what's your score?
Okay, so for Skulls, I'm gonna put it right down the middle of the road and give it a 5. One of the things that me and Chandler talked about last night on the rewatch The fact that the dad was just so casual about
the
his
child.
son's dead body being back in the
But then
house.
panicked about everything else.
Yeah, 100%. It was just way
Is
too
that-
casual.
Is
So
that his son?
I did not get that it was son. I thought that
I
he
thought
was
that
just
they
the
were just-
boyfriend.
Or
Yeah, I thought that they were
whoever it
just,
is
like,
in relation.
lovers.
Like, if I see,
But it was his wife's.
He
or
still
his
had a
girlfriend.
relationship.
It was
Yeah,
her
yeah,
Still had a
son.
relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
well,
his son
actually-
by proxy for sure.
Yeah,
But
that
it's-
was one of my gripes. Something I didn't mention earlier is I thought that every character was clearly drawn, but I was unclear about who every character was to everybody
Yeah.
else.
I get that.
And that's a good example of
like
that.
they all sort of knew each other somehow, but you didn't really know how.
Yeah. So that's a 5 for you.
Yeah, it's a 5. Scary, kind of subjective as horror is. To me, I think the scares are done really well because they're not your typical jump scare. So I'll give it a 6.5.
Sure.
Shakes, I definitely think so. I mean, me and Chandler have been thinking about that shower scene since the movie came out.
Yeah.
We talk about it on the regular, and it's not something you're going to forget. Just like, that's like forgetting about Ghost Ship's opening. The rest of the movie's awful,
Sure.
but you can't forget seeing that opening for the first time,
Totally.
whether or not you watch that movie ever again.
I hate the fact that movie sucks so much
Yep.
dick.
Yeah.
It's so bad, but the opening is
It's
so good.
so iconic. Yep. So for Shakes, yeah, I'll give it a 7.5 for Shakes.
Cool. All right, Chandler.
Okay, I gotta look up the photo of the criteria here so I don't fuck this up. Hold on. This is so much more in depth than what we do. We just talk about horror movies and make dick jokes. It's like 90% of our commentary.
100%.
All right, let's see here. All right, so okay, skulls depict mental health and human behavior. That's a weird one. I hate ranking that with a therapist in the room because I'm just going to get shit on.
I'll just cover my ears. La, 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 la.
So
Your
you're
opinion's your
holding the
opinion. It's
headphones
okay.
Closer so you can hear better. God.
It's like, I didn't do anything.
Wait, Fro, what did you give that?
I gave it right down the middle. Give it a 5.
I guess I'd probably give it the same. There's definitely some things that, like, human behavior wise didn't make a lot of sense because, like, at the same time, in the moment, I don't really know how I'd react to half that shit going on. I'd probably say I would do this, might do the opposite.
Sure.
Who really knows? So maybe like 4, 5-ish in that realm. Let's see. What else? Scares. So how scary is it? I feel like that's really hard to ask someone who's desensitized to everything. Like, I feel like as horror fans, when you watch enough horror movies, nothing really scares you all that much.
Except
but
Threads.
oh, dude, that movie's fucking too real. If you guys have never seen Threads, put that on your list next. Watch that. That movie's rough.
Awful.
I'd give it like a 6 point. Can I give points? Like point?
Yeah.
I gave mine a 6.5.
Oh, you did? Okay. We're going to have like the same thing and I didn't even realize that. Okay. I'd probably say 6.5 as well. Just because when I first watched this movie, it legitimately, I thought it had some very scary moments, very creative scares. It was done well. And the opening scene stuck with me for like ever and still it has to this day, which is a great segue to the next one. I mean, this movie stuck with me quite a bit and always has. That's why I always recommend it. On the second watch, did I like it as much? Not necessarily. I definitely think it has its faults, but I still think it's really good. And it, like I said, the opening is arguably, I'd say it's like my favorite opening, if not one of my favorite openings in horror. The naked man is terrifying on his own and will forever be burned into the back of my head. What else? Just the kid's face. And the cereal,
Sure.
I don't know, just the spilled milk, just scares me. Why is everyone so quiet right now?
We're
listening.
waiting for your number.
I feel like I'm being judged.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
With this build up to the number, I'm excited. What's it going to be?
Yeah.
I don't even know at this point. I'd give Shakes I think a solid 7. Just because to me it's very memorable and I enjoy it. And then what's the last one?
Well, we're not there yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go.
My Skulls is 6, my Scares is a 6, and my Shakes is 7.
You couldn't go down one number?
No,
Right.
No.
Would have been very funny.
Never. Not that.
Well, I thought about it, but I was like, this is better than a 6. I'd rather give this movie its props than go in for the joke.
Fair
but
enough.
also,
Yes.
it's good.
Yes.
And then my suggestion for this one is, for some reason, while watching this, I thought a lot about Husera, the Bone Woman from last year.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so glad I got Chandler to watch that.
Yeah,
So,
that was.
well, the funny. Okay, one, you didn't get me to watch it. I was going to watch it. I just didn't. I literally hesitated on it because I was busy and forgot to fucking watch it. But I mean, that movie as its own is very much up my alley of what I like in horror.
Sure.
It's just like. It's very atmospheric. It's a little bit slow at some times, but it still keeps up with the pacing. Some of the scenes in that movie are legitimately fucking haunting. Specifically the one where, what does she do? Like just in the stairwell, whatever it was. And she just sort of like do this across the floor. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was like my legitimate reaction. I said, no, absolutely not. Fuck that. No.
But for some reason, this one reminded me of that one, whether it's just like tone.
I can see that.
Whether it's just like things being weird around the house. Obviously, Husera, Bone Woman is way more allegorical about what it's trying to say, but definitely had some of that. Chandler, why don't you go next? What's your suggestion to pair with this movie?
So
the Walmart 2-pack.
Walmart 2-pack. That's fuck. Now I gotta think. I didn't come prepared for this. If we're sticking in like the Spanish realm, okay, this is going to be a little out of left field, but I think it makes sense if you think about it. One would be The Devil's Backbone.
Okay.
Which has anyone here seen that?
But I've heard of it.
Oh my God. It's so good. Okay. Well, watch that too, please. Devil's Backbone, also Spanish. So it's sort of in that same realm. And while it's not identical in atmosphere, I still think it gives an accurate representation of paranormal. Well, not really paranormal-ish, but just atmosphere and like somewhat cultural tendencies. But I would say Wreck.
Oh,
Sure.
Love
Wreck
that
is one of
movie.
my favorite horror
It
movies.
is.
For sure.
It is the best, and I will die on this hill. It is the best found footage film, and nothing's ever topped it since it's been made. And found footage.
And honestly, when Sean was talking earlier about the culturally specific thing, the difference between Wreck being incredible and Quarantine being terrible, absolute garbage, even though it's a mostly shot-for-shot remake of the same thing, but because they shift a lot of the things that won't land
cultural
for
elements.
like English-speaking American audiences, fundamentally ruins it as a remake.
That's the thing
so
with
that was
most-
the first thing I thought of. Yeah.
Most American remakes do that, though. They take almost everything cultural out of the movie and they remove it and make it this sort of carbon copy, almost like a blank slate copy of what their original and what was trying to intend to be. Like Goodnight Mommy did not need an American remake. It was great on its own as a German film. The only one that comes to mind that makes total sense as a remake, because it was the same director, it was shot for shot, and they did a great job with the actors, is Funny Games. That is the only one that makes sense. We're not going to talk about Ring and The Grudge. Those are very different films. But I love the American version of The Ring and The Grudge, and I think they did a great job of that. But like Funny Games is one of the only ones that's like makes total sense. But other ones like Old Boy, you took out so many cultural elements from that film when you did an American remake, and it made no sense. What's another really shitty American remake? Martyrs.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
You tried to touch arguably one of the most disturbing and best French extremist films of all time, and you fucked it up. Like, it's yeah.
Definitely won't be watching. I mean, Martyrs in itself was enough. So why would I even like subject myself to the other?
It's really grown on me. I keep thinking about it on a regular basis.
That's my favorite French extremism film. I love it to death. Inside is a close second, but Martyrs will forever be my
Titan Forever.
No, Titan.
Man, what a
Viva
wild
Titan!
I love
Ducournau
I love
all
fucking
day.
cars. That's my favorite hobby.
Sean, what's your suggestion?
There's definitely elements of Pet Cemetery in there. In a way, somewhat like His House too. If you guys saw His House,
His
Yes,
House is
we
one of
did.
my
Love His
top
House.
10 all-time horror movies.
because
it really? Wow.
that was
I think
very
His House is-
culturally accurate as well.
Yeah.
Also, witch voodoo doctors and shit is terrifying.
And there's Matt Wilson, who's from Doctor Who. So
Matt Smith.
Matt Smith, you're right.
That movie is spectacular.
Yeah.
Like, and the scariest part of that movie is when she approaches the other black kids, and
Yeah.
she thinks that like she finally
They're gonna
found
help.
a group that will
Yeah.
understand and like and they're just as dismissive as the white British people. That is the actual scariest scene in that movie, and that is the movie in a microcosm. And then the twist in that movie, because I was not expecting a twist, blew me the fuck away. That is a perfect, fantastic, allegorical movie that like just totally blew me away the first time I
Agreed.
saw
The
it.
ending of that film was so interesting because it's almost like it turned everything on its head, and basically everything you loved about these endearing people pretty much just got thrown out the window
Yes.
because you realized they were
Amazing.
the shitty people.
But like,
But at the same time,
but it's
but did they deserve what happened to them for being
Sure.
shitty?
Yeah.
It's
Right.
like
but also like, where does the shitty meter go? Like, there's so much gray
Shitty
in
meter.
there.
you kidnapped someone else's child.
It's spectacular.
It's pretty shitty.
It's a little questionable.
High on the list.
Anything else, Sean?
I think that's good.
Cool. Jamie.
I think somebody mentioned this earlier, but it gave me some Autopsy of Jane Doe vibes. It also gave me some Dark and the Wicked vibes.
Fucking
Those were
Carrot.
good carrot finger. A good
Good
carrot finger.
scene.
I always
God.
mention that, and then I mention anything for Jackson because of the floss scene.
Yeah.
Watch
But,
that if you haven't watched that too. That scene's. Ugh. If you don't like teeth,
I mean, I like teeth in my mouth and anywhere else.
then you won't like that scene. They start in her mouth.
Aye.
And Nikisha?
So watching this just reminded me of Exorcism of Emily Rose, because you think of that movie and you don't think it's going to be a courtroom drama kinda. And then like in
Sure.
watching this one and then not thinking it was going to be more paranormal investigator vibe. So that's the connection I draw from that.
That's very. I didn't even think about that. It's also got somewhat.
Great point.
If you guys have ever seen Session 9, it
Yep.
sort of has
Yeah.
like somewhat elements of that a little
Sure.
bit. I'm just trying to think of like other like sort of paranormal investigator movies that aren't your standard.
Right. Looks like not like The Conjuring or, whatever, but
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
like nothing in that realm, but like yeah, even like Great
Yeah.
Encounters or anything in that realm, even though that's a little
Sure.
more. I think that
Or like
is-
Ganjiam Haunted Asylum.
which is literally Korean Great Encounters,
Yeah.
yeah.
even though it's better just
Oh, yeah.
because it's Korean.
Yeah,
Anything
but
Koreans
different
do is
tones.
better.
Like, I think that the different tones of that at least set it apart for sure.
Absolutely,
Like,
for sure.
But all-time great character is Houston in Close Encounters. But cool. I think that brings us to the end of our episode. Thank you guys so much for joining us and for introducing us to this movie.
Thank you.
We are now butts and seats people for this director. And again, all the description of where to find these two gentlemen, as well as Welcome to Creepy Camp, is in the description. Definitely take a listen, give them a follow. You can, of course, follow us at Talk Horror Pod. And we're on all social media, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all that fun stuff. You can find us on YouTube. Hi, YouTube. And then you can you can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. That is inclusive of things like YouTube, of course, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Rate and review us there. 5 stars, please.
And thank you.
But guys, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy we actually got to do this and found the time.
Yes.
I know lives are crazy, and I'm really happy that we came together specifically for this movie because this was a banger. Our guests on this podcast have really brought like the game to the table, like real bangers to the table.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
we appreciate you jumping on that train.
I'm curious, what are some others that you guys have sort of discussed and everything?
Martyrs. The Mist.
Great one.
Mist.
The one that you said is your favorite movie.
Oh, I saw The Devil.
I saw
Interesting.
Yeah.
the devil.
Oh, yes.
Carrie versus Jason.
Which one? What
wait,
number one is that?
Friday
Was
the
that 7?
13th, part 7.
Oh, that's right.
The New Blood.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Carrie versus.
I'm like, what
That's what the
spinoff
movie
did I
is.
miss? I was like, did I
Yeah.
miss a spinoff
Right.
somewhere?
That was a fun time.
That was a fun time.
What else was on that list that you guys sent us? I'm trying to remember.
H2O, Eden Lake, Black Coat's Daughter.
I wanted to talk about Eden Lake, but me and Fro both decided that this one would make more sense. Eden Lake's a top 5 horror film for me, and I could go on forever about it. So if you do want to do another episode, I will happily talk about that.
Sure.
Yeah.
That movie is bleak. You just don't want to watch it again. In a good way.
Sounds
Yes.
absolutely perfect for me.
It's a lovely
100%.
time. Oh, you want to talk? Wait, if you're like therapist wise, you'll love that movie.
No, I hate all the bleak movies that I'm forced to cover when our guests make me
you'll love it.
watch
You'll
them.
love it.
But I will find a way to
You'll
love
absolutely
it.
love it. It's another movie
Yeah.
that also says "fuck them kids" very heavily. So, but you'll also be terrified of children too. It's like it's a whole mix because it's got Michael
Yes.
Fassbender in it when he was younger, and before he was like a massive actor. And then what's homegirl's name from Yellowstone? Who plays Beth?
Mary Riley.
Her, yeah, she's in it too. Mm-hmm. And it's really weird seeing them in like a horror film because they're massive actors, obviously. But it's very interesting.
I
Nice.
think Mary Riley, like the like what's her name? The Jack the Ripper victim.
Black Dahlia? No, that's American, not Jack the Ripper. Sorry.
Yeah, Mary Riley. But anyway, thank you for joining us. And anybody got a quote that they want to end the episode with from or no?
I was gonna say what I always say to end our episodes with, but no one will get it, so I can't do it.
I think the appropriate thing is just fuck them kids because that's what we've been saying this whole
Fuck
podcast.
them kids.
So
Them kids.
fuck them kids.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.